Welcome back. For those of you who had joined us live, Anthony and I live earlier. Thank you for joining us here in the Orange and Black Insider, a part of CincyJungle.com. I'm Jason, and then if you've watched me on Three and Out, you obviously know that I'm joined by Kevin, the co-host there for Three and Out. Kevin, how you doing?
Doing all right. Frantically trying to form an opinion on Jordan Battle. He was not in my radar at all, but so far I'm liking it. I'll be honest with you. It came out of left
Okay.
field.
Yeah.
I did a little bit of research on him early on, but did not think
Right.
safety was in the cards for a third or fourth round pick even.
Nope.
But so
So
far I don't hate it. Let's put it that way. I don't hate it. What
okay.
about you?
I don't hate I like the second round pick a lot. I like DJ Turner a lot. I don't hate the third round pick, Jordan Battle. I mean, it was surprising a little bit. Maybe partially because I was so amped up thinking Darnell Washington was going to be our guy at 92, and then they traded back to 95, and I was just I I like Washington. You know that I like Washington. We've talked about
Yep.
it before, but I'm not sure if I'm more upset that we lost Washington or that the Pittsburgh Steelers took Washington. That bothers me.
I mean, that's the
It
way of
does.
it, right? With the
I
medical
know.
concerns we learned recently, as a Bengals fan, you go, I'm not even certain I want Washington here. You know what I mean? If he's scaring off every team with whatever's going on with his knee, you're like, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I even want him.
I
Then he
know.
goes to the Steelers, and you instantly go, oh, we're screwed.
I. It's like when a dog. It's like when you have two dogs and one dog. One dog has all the toys underneath them, but then the other dog gets the one toy.
Yeah.
And then that first dog's like, no, 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 that's my toy. That's how I feel about Washington. That's mine. I wanted that. I wanted that
Yep.
pick. But you know what? Hey, it's whatever. It's over. It's done with. There's
Well,
nothing to do about it.
if I strongly believe if the Bengals wanted Washington, they take him. They don't trade back. I mean,
No,
it's
I
that
agree.
simple. So he was
I agree.
not coming to us regardless. It's not like we got a pick sniped. I think Jordan Battle was probably their plan to begin with, which is why they were confident to trade back.
Possibly. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so Washington to the Steelers, and our secondary is getting young and fast, dude.
Yeah. So that was a big thing. Is the secondary? There's 8 players under contract after 2024, and 5 of them are starters. Uh, in the secondary, that includes Dax Hill, um, Nick Scott, and Cam Taylor-Britt, and that's it. So they absolutely needed the other corner, and they got him and DJ Turner. The Battle one just surprised me a little bit. I do like the player. He's more of a strong safety type. I I don't know if he'll come in and compete with Nick Scott right away for that starting job, or if it'll be something that he'll say, okay, this is Nick Scott's job to lose, and Battle's going to kind of compete with Tyson Anderson and maybe take over. But a third round pick it's not like a day 3 pick. It's not like a seventh round pick or whatever, where some of these picks in this late rounds, like really late rounds, are throwaway picks. Third
Mhm.
round pick's a big deal. A day 2
Oh,
pick's
sure.
a big deal. So you have to think that if they're bringing him in on day 2, that the plan is they want him to play. Obviously he'll be on special teams, but I wouldn't surprise me if he competed right away for that starting strong safety spot. Um,
Sure. I say as of right now, he's a backup. But
yeah,
yeah, competition day one all day. And I think, I mean, from what I remember from back a long time ago when I watched some highlights on him, some film on him, and what I'm looking into now, I mean, I think he's got a chance. He's definitely a Von Bell replacement. I mean, that's
yes,
100% what he is. It's
yep,
something the team did need. I think I'm just surprised 3 picks defense early on. But the truth is, I shouldn't be. I think the plan was always to pay for the offense and draft the defense.
yeah,
Looking back, I kind of think we as a fan base, we get so excited about Burrow and everything else that we're like, maximize Burrow, maximize Burrow. I kind of think maybe going into this, unless the value fell a certain way, we were going to see a bunch of front-loaded defensive picks, and so far, I like it.
right. So when it comes to maximizing Burrow, they haven't done anything on the offensive side of the ball in the draft so far. You'd have to think that they will do focus on offense tomorrow in the 4th through 7th rounds. So my question for you is, what position right now is most needed?
On the offense,
Yeah, just in general, just heading into day 3.
heading into day 3, I would say I want a tight end. I don't think it was as important as everybody wanted it to be, including myself at times. we just don't use a tight end. But grabbing one right now would be good. I also think running back, but that's mostly for a cap reason. If we have to walk into the next season with Mixon, wasn't my first choice, but at this point, might be the best one.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I'd like a guard. What about you?
I think tomorrow, tight end, maybe some depth on the offensive line or right tackle. I was holding out hope that maybe they'll trade Jonah Williams for a day 2 pick, but that's, well, it's obviously not going to happen now. It could happen tomorrow. We'll see. I think Jonah Williams is going to start week 1 at right tackle personally. And I think Joe Mixon is going to start week 1 behind center. So I don't know. I'll tell you what, let's do this. Before we get into next week, let's focus on today. Who are 2 winners and 2 losers in your mind for the Bengals? Not just on the Bengals roster right now, reacting to these picks.
Who's currently on the roster, like current Bengals players who are winners and losers?
Right.
I think that the biggest winner is Joe Mixon. He's always been kind of in the discussion for a cap casualty. I don't think there's a chance, period, at this point. He's going to get his full contract. He's going to play the full year. Best case scenario, we draft a running back, but there's no way whatever running back we end up picking, they're comfortable enough to be like, you're our starter.
Right. Not in day 3, no.
Right. And then Irv Smith, I mean, these are the 2 winners, and that's how it goes. Yeah. 2 players that were kind of on the bubble about will they be our starters, will they not be, for different reasons, but definitely. And now they are our starters. It's that simple. They're going to get their playing time. As far as losers is concerned, I don't know if I can think of any that really lost out on this. Hendrickson is going to get the support he finally needs so that he's not completely washed by the end of the season. I don't know. What about you? Where's your head at?
So as far as winners go, I completely agree with you. Irv Smith is the biggest winner of the night. Joe Mixon's a big winner. Lou Anarumo is a big winner.
Oh, sure.
He gets a bunch of toys. I'd say the only 2 losers that I can really think of right now are one is Sidney Jones, who came here thinking, I'm going to be that 4th cornerback, and I'm going to be that 4th cornerback, and maybe I'll take over for Awuzie the next year. That's obviously not going to happen. And then the other one, I'd say, I'm not going to say Nick Scott right now, but I'm going to say Tyson Anderson.
Sure.
I think Tyson Anderson has lost with this deal now that they've signed Jordan Battle. So something that Anthony's going to be joining us. I don't know what time, but he'll be joining us here in a little while. But we were talking about just this trend with athletic players that, the high RAS score that the Bengals are going after. So I know it was really high for Miles Murphy. It was also really high for DJ Turner. It's a 9.12. For Jordan Battle, I was a little bit surprised. It's not very high. It's a 5.90. But that's not a speed thing. It's his height. I mean, it's not like they can make him taller or anything like that. His height's a little bit, but still for a 40-yard dash, I mean, he has high scores of 4.55, 20-yard splits at 2.62, 10-yard splits 1.55. I don't know what those numbers mean really, but the 40-yard dash, I just know it's faster than me. So, but yeah, so
I think at some point we really need to go time our 40s. And loser of loser of next fantasy has to put up the video up.
Oh man.
Like, talk about just humiliation. Like, there's just it would be a total social suicide.
That's a good idea though. I mean, I'd be hurt.
Right?
If I ran a 40-yard dash, I'm sure I would hurt myself. I don't know. I would hurt myself, I think. Probably. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
But no, I agree with you. We've gotten fast. We're staying young. We're getting cheap. I don't know. I think this was always the play, man. We wanted the new toys, but I think this was always the play. I just hope that Lou Anarumo stays around for another couple of years to take advantage of the bounty we're giving him.
Maybe this is how they keep him here.
I mean, hopefully that's my concern, right? Like, my concern actually is getting into the point of, like, we all know Lou Anarumo deserves a head coaching job. Selfishly, I hope he never gets one.
I know.
We know he deserves one.
Right.
Should we keep investing in this defense, not knowing what his future is. Because remember, it took Louis Anarumo a year or two to get rolling on it. Like, he had to
Right.
get his guys, he had to figure his stuff out. There's a lot of questions about him early on, and that's not unusual. You
Right.
want to play your style of defense, whoever the DC is. So that'd be my only concern. That's a outlier concern. You play with the hand you're dealt now. If you're starting to try to draft picks for your future just DC that you don't know who it is, that'd be insane.
Right.
But I do think it's worth noting. And that's it. I'm also a recent. You guys probably talked about this yesterday, but I didn't have a chance to. Um, I was very upset with the Miles Murphy pick.
Yeah.
And I've completely come around on it. What about you?
Okay. So Anthony and I kind of talked about it at first because we did it while we were live, and when I think we both went when they said Miles Murphy, we went like, oh, you know what I mean? I almost feel bad about the reaction that I had. I with Joey Porter Jr. and Michael Mayer sitting there at 28, I was positive that it was going to be one of those two guys. You know what I mean? Because I didn't think neither of them seemed to be there. It was like a dream scenario for all these mock drafts. Oh, they get to pick a premier corner or the top tight end in this draft class, and then they skipped on it and went to Miles Murphy. So, but I almost immediately I like it. I do. I like it a lot, actually. I think he's a great athlete. I think he's going to keep guys. He'll be a rotational piece probably his rookie year, but he'll keep Trey Hendrickson fresh. And Trey Hendrickson played a lot of snaps last year, and he could use some. Yeah, he could use a break. And then this is Trey Hendrickson's last year under contract. And once the Bengals extend Joe Burrow, we don't know what kind of money they're going to have to throw around anymore. So would you rather have Joey Porter Jr. instead of DJ Turner, but not have a replacement for Trey Hendrickson if and when he leaves after next year? So to me, it's clear. I'd clearly much rather have Miles Murphy and DJ Turner. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And that's what I came around to. There's a couple flashy picks, people you tend to like hyper focus on a couple of guys. And then when you don't get them, it upsets you. And I think the entire fan base knows what this like. Then you take a step back and you look at the state of the team and you go, well, how's this guy going to fit? What's his role going to be? And the more you look at it and the more you look at him, you go, you know what? This wasn't bad, man. This was smart. They had some forethinking. You're going to be able to maximize Henderson for the last year of his contract. And potentially you have his replacement ready on the roster, ready to go. Dude's a freak too. Just a physical monster. Can't go wrong with that. I'd like to see him get coached up, put a couple more tools in his toolbox, because as of right now, he's just kind of a freakier, Carl Lawson. But
yeah, pretty much.
But I like it. I like it a lot.
Yep. And Hendrickson's under contract for 2 more years. It's 2023 and 2020. Yeah, so he does have 2 more years under his contract. But still, you like.
Schmittmeyer called us out on that one. Yeah, good call.
Yeah. But you like the I like the Miles Murphy pick. Schmittmeyer, yeah.
It was not intentional. I
know.
It really wasn't. Sorry.
I like the Murphy pick. I like the DJ Turner pick immediately. The battle pick, I think I had a very similar reaction to the way that I had the Miles Murphy pick, but there wasn't someone sitting right there that I was like, that's the guy. That's the guy. So, after Darnell Washington was gone, it was all just up in the air. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. So round 2, DJ Turner, what's your grade?
Oh, I give it an A.
Okay.
I like DJ Turner a lot. He's fast. He's a great player. He has incredible grades. And press man, I think it's knock it out of the park. We have gotten scary fast, just as an entire unit in the backfield. Yep. And I am here for it. Speed kills. It's a motto for a reason. The moment that pick went in, I was not the same as with the Murphy pick. I went, I can rock with this.
Right.
I can absolutely rock with this.
Team speed's a big, big, big deal for sure.
Yes, it is.
And then round 3, Jordan Battle. What's your grade?
I'm going to need to look more into it. If I'm being completely honest, off the top of my head, I'm going to go B, only because I don't like 3 defensive picks in a row necessarily. And I had a couple other people in mind. People I guess that I need more information on before I give it a firm grade, because I wanted Darnell Washington. I know he has any issues.
Right.
But apparently that was a deal breaker. So once more information comes about that, I don't know what was going on with Adiba War, if I'm pronouncing his name
Yeah,
correctly. He
yeah,
kept falling and falling and falling, and I was like, you know what? Let's double down on the D line. Let's
yeah.
do it. We'll lock the D line down for the next couple years. I'm all about that. Continued to fall. If a little more information comes in on players like that, a few others on the radar as well, I could probably bump that battle pick up to an A. And that's where you got to trust. That's where you got to trust the coaching staff and the scouts, right? They know more than you. For some reason, these players that we thought were first round, maybe second round talents fell all the way down. So B
Yeah.
as of right now, potential A minus.
Okay. Do you know off the top of your head? I know that you sent me a text. I forgot what it was. What was the compensation they got for dropping back
I
from
want to say they
92 to
got.
95?
I want to say they picked up 217. Pick
Okay.
217.
Okay.
Which
So
in,
late.
yeah, which means they're going to draft a punter.
Yeah,
I'm
probably.
calling my shot now. I don't think
Okay.
I'm unique in this take, but they wanted a punter. They found it. Whoever's there, they're going to take.
Okay. So as far as grades go for me in the second round, DJ Turner, I'd agree. I give that an A. I like DJ Turner a lot. I think that was a great value for that pick. And then for Jordan Battle, I want to give it a grade just so I can say I give it a grade, but I'm going to say B minus on the pick. I don't like the trade. I don't like trading with Kansas City. I mean, we got an extra pick and that's great, but I don't like the idea of in Kansas City's. I feel like that's like trading within your division almost, right? And we faced them 2 years in a row in the AFC Championship game.
Sure.
I don't want to do anything that's cooperative with them. And then that trade handed Darnell Washington over to the Steelers, who isn't our biggest competition in the division this year, but I hate the Steelers.
Sure.
And what if Darnell Washington really turns out really good? It's going to be a problem.
I mean, that's what I was saying, man.
He's 7'4" and 633 pounds, and he runs like a horse. So
Yep.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to say A for DJ Turner, and I'll give it a B minus for Jordan Battle, and then the trades in there too. So it'll also depend on that trade who they turn that extra 6th round pick into.
Sure. What? Just out of curiosity, I only caught bits and pieces of the show. What grade did you give the Murphy pick?
I don't think we actually gave it a letter grade, but now that I've
Okay.
had a night to sleep on it and I've been able to digest it for a day, I'm going to give Miles Murphy an A minus.
A minus. I would have the moment it happened. C.
You're
right. Took a night on it. Thought about the actual build of the team and where he's going to fit, and more it became apparent that it was a smart pick. Need met, value. I loved it. A minus. Yep.
Okay. So looking ahead to Sunday now, or Saturday, I'm sorry. Well, actually, I'll tell you what, let's do this. So in the 3rd round, there, it was kind of business as normal. There was a offensive tackle taken, Sidney Brown was taken, and then Tyler Steen, they were taken back-to-back 65 and 66 by the Eagles. Hendon Hooker was taken by the Lions. And then the first running back to come off the board in the 3rd was Byron Young to the Raiders at pick 70, and that started this run at running back. Kendre Miller went at 71, and then let's see, Tyjae Spears, who I was really hoping would fall to the Bengals, possibly. Yeah, that one hurt a little bit. He fell to 81, or he was taken 81 by the Tennessee Titans. But then I saw on NFL Network that they were talking about that he has a issue with a cartilage in his knee where he had 2 knee injuries, and that he's capable of playing obviously on it, but you don't know how long he's going to last. So the Bengals may have dropped or dodged a bullet there. And then Devin Achane at 84 to the Dolphins, and then Tank Bigsby at 88 to the Jaguars. So there was a run on running back. There was no chance we were going to get a running back at that point in the 3rd round. So any chance that we get a running back, it'll be tomorrow. And then as far as tight ends go, there were some tight ends taken in the 2nd. Luke Schoonmaker was taken before the Bengals picked. And then Darnell Washington just kept falling and falling and falling. Tucker Kraft was taken at 78 by the Green Bay Packers. And then the last chance you kind of felt that they had to grab a tight end in the third round was Washington, and then like we said earlier, he was when the Bengals traded back, he was picked up by the Steelers. So, and it kind of makes you wonder, like, is there a chance that they did that to keep him away from us? I doubt it, but maybe. I mean,
I mean,
teams play chess, all the time with each other.
So you're saying, is there a chance Steelers did that to keep Washington away from it?
Yeah.
If so, I hope they did that.
Yeah.
Because we did not trade back 3 spots with Darnell Washington falling if we had any intention of taking him whatsoever. So
Right.
if they're over there trying to play chess, congratulations, they're playing on a board by themselves, because we wouldn't have done it. Like, we were not taking a guy who fell, who was to be a first round talent, potentially at least high second, all the way to a third, and we didn't look at that and go, you know what, let's push this a little bit more.
Right.
Let's push it just a couple. No, if we wanted him, we would have taken him.
Yep.
So I hope they did it. I hope they did it for that exact reason. I really hope you're right.
So looking into Saturday, would you say the big needs? We kind of talked about it earlier, but we're talking about tight end is a need now, running back possibly. But I think that we could both agree that in day 3, for the most part, you're filling out depth on the roster and probably getting maybe the last couple rounds. You hope some of these guys stick, but a lot of the times, last couple rounds are camp bodies. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're just coming into camp. Are there any names that you can really think of off the top of your head that you're interested right off the bat on day 3?
Rashawn Johnson and Wiley.
Okay.
I think Rashawn Johnson actually could be a really good rotational piece. I think he'd be, he's not the perfect complement to Mixon, but he's a complement to Mixon. He has the ability to block to a certain extent. He's got fresh legs, which teams love. I think he might have an unexplored talent, considering he spent his college career behind Bijan, that we haven't seen the best of him yet. I don't think he'll make it. That's the problem. I think we'd have to trade up to get him. And then Wiley, I think it's worth taking a flyer on him. At this point, we're not getting a tight end who's making a impact probably almost at all in the first year, which, to be fair, most tight ends. So, it's not a big loss. But I'd really like to see what he could do.
Yeah. So some players that are still available, big names, especially for guys that we thought would be gone by this point. Adibawar is still there, and Adibawar was mocked to the Bengals a few times in the first round.
Sure.
So he's fallen. DeJuan Jones has fallen to day 3. He was mocked to the Bengals in the first round and then the second round. But rumor is that he has weighed in at like 400 pounds.
Yeah, it was like 393 as well.
Yeah, and obviously he's fallen. That makes me feel like we're looking at the next Andre Smith running around with the shirt off. So yeah, DeJuan Jones has fallen. I doubt that they're in on cornerback right now, but you have Roschon Johnson, the running back out of Texas. Possibly, maybe interior offensive line. Chandler Zavala.
I would not mind a guard. I would not mind a guard to compete. Yeah, I think that could be a what?
DeJuan won't be drafted until Tuesday.
I mean, to be fair, at this point, he might not be wrong. He might not be wrong, Dan.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. All right. Blake Freeland is still there. I think we kind of knew he was going to be a day 3 pick. If they're interested, I think wide receiver is possibly an underrated pick, considering that Tyler Boyd's entering his contract year. You have Tyler Scott from Cincinnati. He's, a local kid. That'd be kind of cool to see. Charlie Jones, wide receiver out of Purdue. And then as far as tight ends go, you're looking at Will Mallory, who's got a great RAS score. And then, like you mentioned, Josh Wiley out of UC. So there's a couple guys. I think at use, or you're right about tight end, though. Whoever they draft at this point isn't going to make a huge difference. Isn't going to make a huge difference in 2023. Miles Murphy, I think, he'll be a rotational piece, so he'll be involved. And I think,
and more involved than people are thinking. I've seen a lot of picks saying, "Oh, well, he's just not going to have that." He's going to have a good amount of snaps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's by no means going to be a main starter, but we way overworked Hendrickson last year. To have anybody who can spell him just even for a few snaps a game, which will be more than that, but even for that, is absolutely worth a pick. Now,
Yep.
different people are gonna have different opinions. Is it worth a first round pick? I think so, with our lack of depth, with their future needs. But anyways, yes, I just wanted to
Yeah.
say that he'll have more
But
snaps than people realize. I think.
well, no, I totally agree. But yeah, he'll give, he'll spell Trey Hendrickson, and also, a lot of people think he has the ability to kick inside.
100%.
So, he's going to be versatile. But I absolutely see him carving out quite a bit of playing time. I think DJ. I think that DJ Turner could he's the fourth corner. He'll be a special teams contributor if for some reason Chidobe Awuzie isn't healthy by the beginning of the season. You figure maybe DJ Turner steps in. And then you have I don't know. Other than that, Battle I figure is probably maybe going to compete for that starting job, but if he doesn't get it, he'll be a special teams guy. But right now, they haven't drafted anyone that I think is going to start, which is fine. It's fine. It is.
No, 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 I don't think so. It depends on how good how Cheeto
Well,
comes,
yeah.
how strong he comes back. At this point, he's apparently had a schedule. Love Cheeto. So I'm wishing the very, very best. But before I heard about the head of schedule thing, I would have told you 50-50 he's ready to start, first game.
Right.
And in a
Right.
situation like that, I think we could see significant snaps. But other
Yeah.
than that, you're right. We don't have a starter. But Lou Anarumo doesn't like
Right.
to start rookies. I mean, it's just, I feel like almost you'd have to be exceptional, truly exceptional. I mean, top 10 pick exceptional for Lou Anarumo to start you as a rookie. He wants you
Right.
to prove it. He wants you to learn his system.
Yep. And it seems to be super complicated because there are plenty of times that I watch the Bengals defense where I have to pause it, maybe rewind it and look and try to figure out what the hell they're doing. It works, but I don't understand all the time either. No, I like that they're sitting back and they're letting players come to them. I do. I like that they haven't reached for anybody. They're not doing what the Lions have done. I'm not going to beat the Lions up too much, but there were some weird picks.
I mean,
yeah.
You could.
I know.
You sure you don't want to?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah. There were some
weird
picks.
Credit where credit's due. No joke. The Lions, they do not care what anyone else thinks about their draft board. Maybe they should, because I think they probably could have done a trade back or two and still got their guys if those are their guys. But they don't care. They're going to get their guy. They're going to be happy with it. I like Jahmyr Gibbs.
I do too.
I mean, I was kind of iffy on drafting in the first round, but even on our last episode, I was one going like, I don't think I want to draft a running back in the first round, but man, if they did, that'd be a lot of fun. That'd be a fun pick.
The Lions,
it's wild. Yeah.
The Lions this year, what they've done is they have drafted players that I like, that I wanted the Bengals to draft a full round before I thought the Bengals could draft them. Yep. So like Jahmyr Gibbs is, they taking him at 12 instead of possibly 28. Or in the second round, Sam Laporte with the number 34 overall pick. Oh my gosh, man. I was expecting him maybe a third rounder, but I thought, maybe the Bengals would be interested late in the second round. So, no, the Bengals haven't reached for anyone. They've kind of sat back. They've let the draft come to them. They've taken guys that are their kinds of guys, which is nice. That's the kind of thing that you want teams to do. And that's what good teams that aren't rebuilding do. Teams that are rebuilding, they have to grab guys. They have to reach up and grab guys that they need. The Bengals, do they really need, capital NEED? Do they need anything right now? And I would argue, no.
No, but that's just because of the style of game they play. You could argue they need a tight end. I mean, Irv Smith is injury prone and everything else. He is fine. He's a fine starter. He's not the starter you want.
He's not fine
by any stretch.
Fine. That's a Kevin.
You could also argue they at least need. Yeah. You could also argue that they should look to find a guard if they find the right one falling. I like Volson, but I do think some competition wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think Anthony is.
You're right. I am stretching. Okay. I am stretching the word need. Just that. I'm agreeing with you. There is not a capital N need. There are some lowercase n needs that I would like to see them address.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is I think that there are, there are things that like, the whole thing that you talk about to your kids about, like, do you want it or do you need it? You know what I mean? Like, do you want a PS5 or do you need a PS5? Brock says, my son says he needs it.
Yep.
He doesn't. But like the Bengals don't need anything. There's things that they want, justifiably so. They want a tight end because you're right. Irv Smith is injury prone. I'm hoping that they do the same thing with Irv Smith that they did to CJ Uzama and that they did to my wife calls him the Viking. Oh my gosh. Hayden Hurst. Is sign a guy. Well, I mean, they drafted Uzama, but they signed Hayden Hurst to a 1-year deal and they turned that 1-year deal into him to a 3-year, however many millions of dollars. You know what I mean? Good for him. Maybe Irv Smith will get the same treatment next year for someone else, which would be good for us and Irv Smith. We get production. Irv Smith gets, a chance to, he gets a 1-year deal, prove it deal here and turns it into big money somewhere else. Like Dan the Man says, rent a tight end. That's our program. Rent a tight end. So,
and so far it's working. So I guess I can't get, overly upset about it. I would like that maybe at some point we have a tight end, start for us for 2 years.
Maybe.
Just so we know what's going on with it. But so far it's working. I mean, we don't overly utilize our tight ends. We just don't.
No.
So
well, that's the thing is something to think about that Anthony brought up after the second round of the draft is do you want to spend a 3rd round pick on someone who's going to be the 4th or 5th option for a quarterback when they're dropping back for a pass? Because I mean, there's going to be plays where the tight end is the primary target, but the majority of the time, Joe Burrow's dropping back. He's looking for Chase, Higgins, and then Boyd, and then a tight end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, is that
okay? But no. By that logic, though, you want to be drafting people who we just said aren't even going to be starters. You don't draft for now. You draft for the future.
Right.
You're not drafting a tight end because he's your 4th option. You draft him because he's your 3rd option if you can't maintain Boyd, who, let's be honest, it sucks. I love the guy. I don't think we're going to be able to.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either.
So I get what you're saying, but especially tight end, you could. This would be kind of playing devil's advocate more than anything else because I did say I'm happy with the draft so far, but the argument for tight end is you especially draft him now because it's going to take him a year or two to get to the point where he's ready to replace Boyd.
Right.
RM, you have to replace P. Ryan's production. No way around it. Completely agree. I hope we reach for Rashawn. I think Rashawn Johnson. I think he has the potential to be that replacement. I also think maybe I don't think he's going to be like a world breaker by any means, but I don't think we've really seen what he can do.
Right. Well, he's been being behind
Bijan. Like he's been completely overshadowed. So best case scenario, he's a P. Ryan. Worst case scenario, he's a P. Ryan replacement. Best case scenario, I don't know. We can see.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, right?
At this point in the draft where the 3rd round is wrapped up and all you have left are day 3 picks, at this point, do you believe that unless something crazy happens with free agency, like with Zeke, do you believe that Joe Mixon will be the lead back in 2023 for the Bengals?
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. At this point, there is not a player they are going to be comfortable saying you're the starter. Period. Mixon is our back. He's our lead back. That's it.
Yeah. The only way I see it that not happening is if they go back to free agency and sign Ezekiel Elliott or something like that. I don't even know who's available anymore in free agency. We've been so focused on the draft. But there's nobody that they're going to draft at this point who's going to take that that 1st and 2nd down between the tackles, that's going to be a 3-down back. Whoever they take at this point is going to be a 3rd down back or maybe come in and block because Mixon can't or whatever the case may be. But I think that Mixon will come back probably on with a decreased salary. They're going to have to figure something out with his salary, I would think. So,
I mean, why would he do that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they could always cut him after June 1st, and that could be the thing is, hey, let's rework your salary or we're going to have to move on. But I don't know.
I mean, but that's the thing we just discussed. They can't really cut him. They can't really afford to do that at this point. If they'd got the right running back earlier, I think they made it was Zach Charbonnet. I thought he was a second round option that I really, really liked.
Yeah.
If they got him, now suddenly Mixon's back on the table. Joe Mixon, they have no leverage with Joe Mixon. They could threaten to cut him, and then what? Travion Williams, or they're starting Rashawn Johnson. I mean, they don't have a running back room if they don't have him. So he's getting his full salary. I mean, if I'm wrong and they work something out, call me out on it. But I'm right now. Joe Mixon's the starter. He's getting his full salary. It's kind of just what it is.
Right. No, I agree with you. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Anybody who's a fan of big offenses, a little bit disappointed, but I think that, in general, I like what they've done. So we're going to bring Anthony Cosenza in now. He's back with us. Anthony, how you doing?
It's been a day. It's been a weekend. How are you guys? Kevin, good to be on the air with you, man. How you doing?
I know. We finally managed to hook it up.
I know. You guys have been holding down. We got a lot of live viewers. That's awesome. Especially for so late. Obviously, people are interested. I kind of caught some. I actually had to kind of sort of play family and dad guy, but tonight. But so we went out to dinner for a little bit just to after last night, doing a lot of different coverage. But
sure.
I don't know. What were your guys' gauge on this pick here? This last one, a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah,
I would say, obviously.
A little bit. I think we were kind of talking about. I was a little bit disappointed they moved back and lost out on Darnell Washington, especially that he went to the Steelers. I do like Jordan Battle. I just wasn't expecting safety. I wasn't, and maybe I should have because they did lose Bates and Bell at the end of the year, or after last year. Mm-hmm. But I was just kind of assumed that the Nick Scott signing had taken care of it, and that was it. But obviously, that's not the case.
Well, they're trying to recreate, I think, what they had between Bates and Bell, right? With these, with Hill and Battle, and I mean, I think they're trying to long term create what they had there. But it seems like it's really funny, Jason. You and I have talked a lot about the first couple of picks here, and really some of the picks last year, like the RAS scores, the athleticism, the testing, all that kind of stuff. This guy didn't test as well. My understanding, RAS wise, did not test as well as the first two picks, but they love where he did grade well. As I've kind of dug a little deeper into it, PFF coverage scores, right? And so where he didn't do so well metrics wise, there are other areas we go, okay, well this makes a lot of sense, and he seems to be a physical player, a heady player, and a guy that I'm sure that just here you go right there. Apparently they met with him at the combine. I think that was a little bit of under the radar meeting there, and they must have liked what they heard and saw from him, right? I mean, it's a big part of the process. So yeah, a little surprising though overall for me.
Yeah, I would agree.
I was going to say I was very surprised, but I'm not certain we should have been surprised in retrospect. Not necessarily the Jordan Battle pick itself, but that's what I was saying is you see all these mocks where it's tight ends and it's running backs and it's everything else. And the truth is it really does appear that the Bengals plan was always to draft a defense and pay an offense with the upcoming contracts. I think that long term, the people who are kind of naysaying this a year or two from now might look back and go, yeah, we got some bargains on defense that are really letting us afford this offense. I'm all for it. Almost every pick was a surprise for me, and every pick I got turned around real quick. I'm all about it. I really am.
So
DJ Turner was not. DJ Turner I liked, but otherwise.
When you say you got turned around on it, Kevin, are you saying like initially you go, oh man, really? And then you kind of dug deeper and went, oh, really? Or are you saying, I guess when you say turn around, what do you mean? Like just you got sold on it pretty quickly?
That's what Miles Murphy is what I'm talking about more specifically. I think I had the same reaction a lot of people had. I mean, it looked like the board fell perfectly. It was, it's going to be one of these three players here. Which one's it going to be? And then you hear Miles Murphy and you go, Miles Murphy? But the truth is, once you look at the Henderson snap count, once you look at the future of that defense, once you look at his athletic scores, you start to really see where he's going to slot in on this thing, and you start like reevaluating. You start going, you know what? This might be low key a really, really good pick. This might solidify the defense for a couple years. It's going to let us maximize the last 2 years of Henderson's contract because let's be honest, his snap count was washing him by the end. I like it. I like it a lot.
It's, I mean, look at the programs where these three guys came from as well, and that screams Bengals MO. Also, big program, right? I mean, they love guys that are from the big conferences and they produce in the big conferences, and all these guys do that. I know, again, the testing for Battle doesn't show certain traits or certain things, but I see someone in here, it looks like One Nation Underground said something, Battle played snaps everywhere in the secondary, great pick. So they want people to be multiple. They want people to be versatile, and they want people to, their defensive players to do a lot of different things. I heard someone saying, they think that Murphy could even kick around on the defensive line and certain, not just off the edge, go inside, kind of the Wallace Gilberry thing from a couple of years ago, where you can kick him inside and go from there. But, I think it's a solid, I used the analogy last night, I think, Jason, with you, where it's, the solid high 80s, low 90s, low and outside fastball hitting the corner. It's just a nice B plus, maybe even A-, depending on, how you look at things. They're doing things that when you look at the picks and you look at the players and where they came from, how they produced, it makes a lot of sense in a lot of different ways and checks a lot of boxes. Yeah.
So Anthony, Kevin, and I were kind of talking about some players that we were looking at specifically for the Bengals tomorrow. Do you have anyone in mind?
It's got to be running. By the way, I said this before. Do not. I will never assume that Zach Taylor and the Bengals, Zach Taylor as the head coach, will pick a tight end for the Bengals at any point in the first 3 to 4 rounds going forward, because it's just, I mean, they just do not. This regime does not value that position. It's just kind of the reality of it. But I think tight end at some point tomorrow. I think, I don't know, but running back has got to be, probably somewhere up there. And, there's some interesting names there that I feel, that some of my favorite guys have already gone in this draft. But I think, did Spears go? I kind of had a little bit of a,
he did.
Okay. Yeah. I thought he did. I thought I saw his name flash up there, but I didn't get to see where I was. But, I think, the kid from Pitt, he should be available. And I don't think, did Rashawn Johnson go? I didn't see his name.
He did not go.
So I think that might be
my
their
target.
guy.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that might be their guy at this point. And will he ever be a 3-down back? Will he ever be kind of the bell cow guy? I don't know, but I think he's a very nice, at a minimum, number 2. And so maybe you go that route and you have another conversation with Mixon. And guys, now tonight, night 2 concludes, and no Jonah, Jonah watch is still in effect. So, and they haven't gone for a tackle either. So, I almost wonder if that's now just kind of, hey, we know Mike Brown. You guys know Mike Brown. I know a lot of things have changed.
Yeah.
He does not like to be pushed around by players. He does not like to be dictated, you know what I mean? And I know the Blackburn family and Elizabeth Blackburn and Katie Blackburn, they've done amazing things, and this team has made great strides. But I know they've taken a lot of the, the responsibilities, if you will, day-to-day responsibilities. But you guys have followed this team for a long time.
Yep.
Mike Brown, at whatever level he continues to be involved here, I can tell you that he will not allow a player who's under contract to dictate to him what's happening there. So at this point now, if you do move Jonah, you're looking at potentially a day 3 pick this year at best, and then maybe something next year. And so you go, what is the value there? And maybe you just kind of say, let the chips fall where they may with Jonah. But right now, I think it's running back, tight end. You have to look at those 2 spots, and there's some good running backs here. I think Rashawn Johnson's probably top of the list for me at this point.
You kind of brought up Spears. I did want to say we may have dodged a bullet. Ian Rappaport reported on the NFL Network that Spears suffered 2 torn ACLs in his past
Aye.
On the same knee. Tests at the combine revealed a full thickness cartilage loss and no ACL in his knee. Additionally, Spears has arthritis. So it's unclear as to how long he'll even hold up in the NFL. So one of those things that, the news comes like that out after he gets selected by the Titans, and you're happy that it didn't come out after he got selected by the Bengals. So
how surprised were you that the Bengals wheeled and dealed with the Kansas City Chiefs?
I know.
After everything, both of those.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, what?
We kind of touched on that earlier. Is we were trying to grade that 3rd pick, and I was like, I want to hold out a little bit, but I hate the trade. I'm going to give the trade an F just because it's with the Kansas City Chiefs, the team that they played in the AFC Championship 2 years in a row. Don't give them anything.
Well, it almost feels like a division pick, division
yeah, I know.
trade.
It does.
Really
feels
does.
Like you're
like
trading
it's
with
one
someone in your
step below a Steeler trade.
Yeah.
Right. I was very surprised about that. And then of course Pittsburgh just goes in there and takes Washington, who I know all of us kind of were. And I put it out on Twitter a little bit ago. Kudos to Pittsburgh because I think they're having, at least on paper, pretty nice couple of nights here. I mean, they've got some good, and quite honestly, I mean, you never really say this about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they needed it. I mean, they're a team that just needs an influx of talent, and they're a team that, while they're very well run, the last couple of years it's been pretty shocking at how they've let the defensive lines and some of the trenches where they just kind of make a name for themselves. You know what I mean? They've kind of let those go by the wayside a little bit. But good couple nights for them. Unfortunately for the Bengals, but I think it's been a solid couple of nights for Cincinnati too.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree. I really like beefing up the secondary. I like the Myles Murphy pick. I think they've done a good job sitting back, letting the draft come to them, not reaching for someone, and then now they have an extra 6th round pick. Maybe they could package that, move up, do something different. I don't know. But I would expect that tomorrow would be a heavy offensive day.
Yeah,
I hope. Who knows? Maybe they'll take more edge defenders and maybe they'll take 5 cornerbacks tomorrow. I mean, we have no idea what's going to happen. So
Adebo War keeps falling, and if he gets to pick 4, I mean, maybe right.
He's still there.
Yeah, he's still there.
He's still there.
If he's available when the Bengals go on the clock, why not take him? I mean,
I would have told you he was a fringe 1st round possibility.
Yeah.
Like not a slam dunk by any means, but like maybe they're considering it. Something's going on there. We get the Darnell Washington information. We get the Spears information. This happens every single draft. Something's going to come out, medicals or something. There has to be a reason he's still on that board.
Yeah, and then other guys we were talking about that are still available. So Adebo Ward, DeJuan Jones, Roshan Johnson. Let's see if they're interested in the interior offensive line. Chandler Zavala, Blake Freeland's still there. Tyler Scott, if they're looking for
interesting.
Yeah, Freeland's interesting.
Freeland's very interesting. Yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
Tyler Scott, if they're looking for wide receiver help now that Tyler Boyd's entering a contract year. There's a bunch of talent available. It's just not anymore at the tight end position. So I mean, there is. Will Mallory. And Josh Wiley, I do like this.
Did Kuntz get scooped up?
I
don't believe so.
Okay,
I think he's still available.
Watch. Yeah, that's another guy to keep an eye on there.
I can tell you. No, Zach Kuntz is still there. So yeah, as far as tight end goes, Will Mallory, Josh Wiley, Zach Kuntz, David Allen.
Those are your tops. Yeah.
Those.
The Clemson kid, right? Davis Allen.
Davis Allen. Yeah.
Yeah, that's another one I wouldn't be surprised if they had some interest in as well. I mean, I like what they've done. It's not like I'm absolutely in love with it, but I feel like they've got value. They got guys in the first 2 rounds that have high athletic profiles, and I know it's not. Here's the thing, guys. For me. And I would love to hear your guys' take on it. I know you guys have been talking for a while, so I don't want to keep you up super late. But I know for me, it's like, hey, it's not even 9 o'clock out here. Yeah. But and you guys are like, dude, let me get to bed. Sorry. I guess I just, Jason and I talked last night about, like, if you draft a guy, whether it's Branch or someone like that, and now it happens to be Battle. I mean, if initially they step into like a Trey Flowers role, right? I mean, if you don't have Trey Flowers coming back, or you don't, where you go, well, man, that's your 3rd round pick, then that's their role, like kind of a niche tight end, in the box, whatever. Well, this team is in a lot better position roster wise than it was 2-3 years ago. And so now you have guys where you go, well, these are the roles that we need filled right now. And then maybe down the road, those roles become expanded. But that's where I kind of see, like, hey, when you're picking late in rounds and you've been a successful team for a couple of years, this is just kind of the state of things and what you need out of the draft. And I feel like it's kind of, maybe minimal short-term gain for some of these guys, but that short-term gain is kind of a big deal, but also long-term payout. And that's kind of how I'm choosing to look at this draft, whether it's right or wrong. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree with that.
No, I do agree. And then go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say I 100% agree. I kind of alluded to it a little bit, where this draft is very, very boring and it feels like eating your vegetables. But it's the kind of thing that pays off down the line. You're going to be looking at these contracts. You're going to be looking at that the cornerback room 2 years from now, where our Super Bowl window is still open because we can afford our big contracts. You're going to go, you know what? Maybe I was a little harsh on that draft. Maybe that draft actually is paying dividends down the line. And if it doesn't blow your skirt up, I get it. They're not flashy picks, at least not for most people. It's an offense-heavy league, and people want the tight end. They want the wide receiver. But honestly, I think we're paying our dues. We're getting ready for the future, and I'm all for it. I really am. I get why it doesn't excite people. I'm not going to claim that if you say you don't love this draft, I'm not going to argue with you. I get why. But personally, I think it really, really, really is going to pay off long term.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned that if they take Jordan Battle and that all he really does is steps into a role like Trey Flowers.
Well, immediately.
But think about this too. So Trey Flowers, one of his main roles was kind of a tight end guy. I'm going to cover Travis Kelce. But think about who they play. They're probably going to face. I know they face Travis Kelce in the regular season. They'll probably face them in the playoffs as well. They face Mark Andrews twice. Probably the 2nd or 3rd best tight end.
Darnell Washington now.
Yep, they're going to have Darnell Washington now for the Steelers, and they already got Pat Freiermuth, who's been proven to be a very good tight end. So you're looking through here.
Bills just got Dalton Kincaid.
Yeah, Dalton Kincaid, and they already have
another AFC powerhouse that's going to be in the mix in the playoffs, right?
You got David Njoku in Cleveland, who they'll play twice. And I know he hasn't produced as much, but he's a very, very talented guy. So, there's a lot of need for a guy who can step in and help. Dawson Knox is already in Buffalo too. Mm-hmm. So there's a need for someone who can step in and fill that role. And if that's what they drafted Jordan Battle for, and that's all he does for a year or two, I'm fine with that. Yep. I'm absolutely fine with that.
That's what they need right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the more I think about it, I'm talking myself up, I'm hyping myself up. The more I think about it, the more I like it. And I didn't hate it when it came out by any means either. So I was just surprising. I just wasn't expecting safety. Yeah. So
that tight end list really does kind of bring it into focus too.
Yeah.
Well, you say to yourself, like, well, he's only going to be a role player in a certain amount of games. How important or how valuable?
A lot of games.
Be. And then you start listing off like the teams that he's going to become. He could potentially be valuable in. And you're like, well, those are some of the biggest games we're going to play. Like, you don't win those games, you don't win the division. And suddenly you're like, oh, he might be more of a contributor than we, at least me, considered early on. And that seems to be the theme, at least for me, where every time I have to like take a step back and I have to reevaluate. And once you do, again, I like it. I'm happy. B+, A- overall.
And when you look at the Ravens too, I mean, it's not just Mark Andrews, it's Isaiah Likely. Go, the Jets, they've drafted a bunch of tight ends and brought in tight ends too. I mean, and the Jets now are probably going to be at least in the conversation with Aaron Rodgers now in the fold. So you've got these teams that have one, if not two or more deep tight ends and wide receivers and whatnot, where you go, hey, you're going to need multiple guys who can cover, guys who can kind of be a little bit versatile, and maybe Battle's that guy. Maybe I saw someone mention Tyson Anderson as well. That's a guy who's probably still in the mix too. So, they're restocking.
Yep, they definitely are. They have to, whenever we find out how much Joe Burrow is going to get, which could be actual literal ton of money that's dropped off in a dump truck. They're just not going to have the money to pay guys like they have been, especially on defense. They brought in so many big name free agents, and they've helped us to this point. But now's the time to probably replace those guys with draft picks. So, it's not thrilling, but it's necessary to keep winning. So, yeah. I don't know.
My one concern, just to bring up the last thing I've got, is the running back. I feel like, are you guys at all scared that once Rashawn exits the field, because I think he will based on who's available before it gets down to us, that there's just not a lot of options and free agency is maybe going to be the only way to backfill, because we do not have a P. Ryan replacement on this roster.
Right.
He would be that. He would be that. Quite honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, if you, I don't know if you guys had a chance, but we did a little prospect preview of him and broke down just a mini little bits of film of his and stuff. I mean, he's smaller, obviously, but he's taller. But he's the guy. He doesn't have the breakaway speed. He's just under, I think he was 4.58 or something in the 40. So it's good. It's not, game breaking necessarily, but tackle breaking. Good vision and finding the creases, and that's really what his strengths are. I am worried though that at some point, and I think also we're seeing that the Bengals are at least somewhat tethered to Joe Mixon this year, right? If they had really wanted to do something and really wanted to make a statement, say we are moving on from, or we are replacing, or whatever, that we would have saw it tonight. I mean, yeah. I think they would have done a big move up for Charbonnet or whatever. They would have done that, I think, tonight, had they really felt that their hand was forced. So either, number one, they're feeling pretty good about what's happening off the field with him, right?
Right.
In that whole situation. Number two, they feel like maybe they have some contract renegotiation leverage with that off-field thing, and they can kind of work some magic there. And then they maybe find a guy. I would assume it's got to be in round 4 tomorrow, that can come in and not only be a heavy rotator, but potentially maybe fill some of the void if and when Mixon does exit. But I think Roschon is a guy that you look at. I think they probably look at the kid from Pitt. I always butcher his name, unfortunately.
Izzy.
Yes, Izzy. Yeah, let's just say
There we go.
there are a couple others where I just I think it makes sense, but yeah, I am worried now because it's the same thing as tight end, right, Kevin? It's like you waited, and because you waited, the well's starting to get drier and drier with some of the guys you feel that can contribute right away.
So in my mind, there is a potential workaround, a couple potential workarounds at running back, not so much tight end, but at running back, the rumor mill is that the Lions are looking to move DeAndre Swift, and I would love it. I mean, he'd be on a 1-year deal, his last year of his rookie deal, so he'd be cheap. But trade for him, I don't know what he'd cost. Maybe they don't. It's not like they have a lot of leverage. They took Jahmyr Gibbs. Everyone probably knows they're looking to move Swift because they also signed David Montgomery. But maybe a 6th and a 5th, or a 6th and 7th, or something like that, or a pick this year and a pick next year, and you get Swift. You release Mixon. Swift had very similar running numbers. He's a better receiver, but he's a much, much better pass blocker. He had pretty good. He didn't allow any sacks this year at all as a pass blocker. He had very high pass blocking score according to PFF. I don't remember what it was, but the little box was green, so that's good.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, it's a good sign. And then Zeke Elliott's still sitting there, and Zeke Elliott, to me, he's the same guy as Joe Mixon at this point in his career. Same runner. He's just a better blocker.
And that might be why they haven't felt the need to press it.
Yeah.
They may say, we've got maybe potentially some sort of verbal handshake deal with Zeke waiting based on what happens in the next couple of rounds. And so, they're not, this team is going best player available, and it's largely for better, sometimes maybe for worse at times, but they're just not going to force themselves into taking or feel like they need to absolutely take a position way earlier than they need to. So, And you guys know you followed this team for a long time. Fourth round, second round, and fourth round seem to be kind of the money rounds for running backs in this team.
They do. They do. And the fourth round's always just a good round. That's where we took Geno Atkins. It's just fourth round's fun. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. Kicks off tomorrow at noon, I think. Right? All day affair. Wife's going to love it. It's going to love it. Yeah, not for you. Kicks off at what? 9 for you? Yeah.
In 12 hours. Yes.
12 hours, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to check in occasionally. My wife's birthday was literally first round.
What'd you do for it? What'd you do for it?
Went out to dinner and everything. Went out to dinner and everything else, and I watched the draft. So she's good to me. She didn't give me too much grief over it.
There you go. We'll tell her happy birthday for us, man.
Will do.
Yep. No, I'm excited. I could see hopefully offense, but let's just see what happens. Maybe defense, maybe corner again, maybe safety, anything but quarterback. I think is on the table probably at this point. And maybe that's not even true because tomorrow they may be looking to draft a backup quarterback too. So
and I wouldn't hate it.
No, me neither.
They picked up that extra sixth. We'll see what they do.
Right. Stetson Bennett, come on down.
Oh,
the old man Stetson Bennett. What's he? I think he's 40, right? I don't know.
Chris Winkie, right?
There you go.
I think that extra pick is their punter. Whatever the best punter is that falls to that point. I think that was the entire idea behind that.
That's a good point.
And I'd be all about it.
Yep, me too. I don't think Drew Chrisman really lit the world on fire. Kevin Huber's probably it's done. He's gone now. So I think punter is one of the most overlooked positions in the NFL. I mean, any punter who can completely flip the field, and that's a huge, huge asset to have on your team. Hopefully, they draft a punter and he never punts. That would be awesome because Joe Burrow scores touchdown every time he touches the ball. Bengals win again, 63-12. Good stuff. Just talking to myself. No, you got.
I was gonna say just to wrap it up: Blake Freeland, Rashawn Johnson, Kuntz, and Wiley are the four that I'm going to be paying the most attention to.
Yeah.
Come tomorrow.
I think Kuntz, Wiley for sure. Freeland would be interesting depending on what happens with if they can figure something out with Jonah Williams. There's a lot of guys. Adebo, where I can't imagine that he would be there when the Bengals go on the clock, but I couldn't imagine that he would be there on day 3
Andrew Billings. He's the Andrew Billings of this draft.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So, it's just the fact that he's there is wild. So, who knows what's going to happen? This draft went off the rails on pick 3 when the Texans traded back up to number 3 and further went off the rails when the Lions drafted Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12.
That's what it was for me. When Gibbs went at 12, I said, should have tore up my notes at that vac.
There you go. I have
no idea.
At least from a Bengals perspective, a little bit. It seems like that kind of blew up the draft in a lot of different ways. It just changed the trajectory of I think what a lot of teams were going to do, either at the back end of the first or in the second. But that was that was shocking.
I totally agree. I don't think there's any doubt that they could have gotten Jahmyr Gibbs with that second pick that they had in the late first round. But who knows? Whatever. It's ancient history. The Bengals got a guy that I like a lot, Miles Murphy. They got two guys that I like a lot. So I'm happy. I'm happy moving into Saturday. So, it's good stuff.
Well, get us out of here, Jason.
All right.
Exit it. I think we're ready. You poor guys. I'm like, hey, I've got another 30 minutes, hour in me, and you poor guys are like, God, get me to sleep.
Yeah, I got my son's baseball game at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow.
I've got an 8:31, dude. I'm like, oh no.
There you go. So I'm excited. I don't know. Are we going to be doing a live thing tomorrow or?
If we could do some stuff. Whatever you guys want to do. I figured at a minimum we would probably do, a post day 3 wrap, kind of similar to what we're kind of doing now. I think maybe we'll do something if there's either a big move or if you guys want to hop on and do it, go for it.
Okay.
It seems like right now, like I said, we've got a ton of live viewers on across a lot of different platforms. It looks like, and it's after midnight on Friday. So people are liking what you guys are doing.
They're pumped, man. They're pumped.
Yeah.
They're pumped.
That's what it is.
Bengals fans. There's a lot of stuff to be excited about right now if you're a Bengals fan. And if you've been a Bengals fan for a long time, you're so not used to that you're really super excited. So no, it's good stuff. But yeah, I think we'll be back tomorrow at some point. Kind of keep you up to date. I don't know. I figured at least we'll do like a post day 3 thing and go from there. But yeah, I'm excited about tomorrow and kind of wrapping up the draft, and then we go into like a month, or not a month, but however long of a slumber where nothing happens. It sucks. So yeah, we're approaching the dead period. But yeah, do you guys have anything else to say?
No, I just thank you to you guys for stepping in and killing it tonight. You netted a lot, like I said, netted a lot of live viewers, and you guys kept the show going, kept the conversation going, and I appreciate it. So you guys are doing a great job on our channel and on 3 and Out, and I just publicly want to say thank you to you both and appreciate what you guys do. Seriously.
Well, thank you very much.
Right back at you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've had a blast putting this show together with
Good.
you. Yeah, really good time.
Me
good.
Too. Me too.
Well, we've had a lot of good feedback, so it's
good.
It's good. Yep.
Good. All right. Well, everybody, Who Day. Thank you. For Kevin, for Anthony, I'm Jason. Hit the like button, subscribe, check out all the different shows in the Orange and Black Insider. Check out 3 and Out, and then obviously go to cincyjungle.com. There's a ton of great content, ton of really good writers that are always busy, just with original content, interviews, stuff like that. It's good stuff. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Who Day.